Mysterious gates leading to dungeons suddenly appeared across the world. Ferocious monsters emerged from the portals, attacking everything in sight. Only those who had awakened magical powers could stop the chaos. Awakened fighters clashed with monsters in explosive, high-powered battles. The powerful group, Golden Seekers, steps in to protect humanity, including Ingolf von Dietz and Claudia Burjo. More Golden Seekers, like Nathaniel Cavell and Iwako Heidke, unleash their magic in battle, joined by a mysterious unknown member. Civilians cry out in panic as chaos spreads through the battlefield. Claudia calmly tells her comrades to help the victims, though she complains there are too many to handle. A monstrous creature lunges toward a helpless civilian, ready to strike. The monster is violently struck in the face mid-attack, stopping it instantly. A massive explosion follows, completely destroying the threat in a dramatic blast. A calm man asks if the civilians are safe amidst the chaos. Golden Seeker Masato Kawakairo steps up, confidently declaring he'll handle the threat. He leaps into action, charging at an overwhelming swarm of monsters. His eyes glow with fierce determination as he prepares to unleash his power. Masato fiercely charges into a horde, overwhelming them with precise, powerful attacks. A man watches in awe, stunned that Masato is handling everything alone. A woman explains Masato's secret: his time magic allows him to predict monster movements. Someone silently reflects, recognizing Masato's incredible strength. Empowered beyond human limits, Masato leaps at a massive monster with overwhelming force. A chaotic battlefield unfolds with portals and monsters pouring out in every direction. Masato walks confidently toward the battlefield, surrounded by portals and monsters, glowing with power. Masato stands tall, facing off against a giant serpent, saying it's the final opponent. Masato stands confidently in front of his team and declares that with his power, he will be able to protect the peace of the people. He raises his hand toward the portal, stating he's going to seal the gate. Just as he activates his power, something unexpected suddenly strikes. A violent shockwave blasts him away before he can complete the spell. A massive red magical seal forms in the sky, stunning Masato as he kneels, overwhelmed. He stares in disbelief and questions the strange magic, unable to recognize it. Masato, who can normally see the future, admits this is the first time he's seen something so unpredictable. As the rest of the team faces the red seal, Masato demands answers, shocked and betrayed, asking if they were all in on it and why they would do such a thing. Nathaniel Cavell smirks and replies to Masato's question, asking why he's surprised. He reveals that Masato's ignorance is exactly why he was betrayed by his own comrades. Masato, shocked, tries to process the betrayal and mutters in disbelief. The red-clad girl mocks him, calling him a level 100 monster who uses time magic. Claudia Burjo coldly adds that they just wanted to earn money safely, implying Masato was a threat to that. Masato's teammates accuse him, saying he only wanted to help but ended up endangering them all. Nathaniel Cavell lowers his eyes and declares that today will be the last time. As the magic circle activates, he smirks coldly and says, "We'll be seeing you," signaling their betrayal is final. Masato furiously slams his fists and yells that they can't be serious, demanding to be let out of the trap. Masato reflects in disbelief, wondering why his own comrades betrayed him despite his efforts as the Golden Seekers' leader to protect the world. He remembers how he bravely fought monsters just to protect everyone. Fueled by rage and confusion, he clenches his fist and yells out, "Why?" Despite being surrounded by terrifying dragons, Masato stands tall, ready to fight. Masato slashes through a massive snake monster in a fierce counterattack. His eyes widen in shock as something unexpected happens. Surrounded by terrifying monsters, Masato stands alone but remains determined. Activating his future vision, Masato sees a path forward and realizes he can still escape. Masato's vision of the future shatters like glass, revealing it was just a broken possibility. He smirks bitterly, realizing that future no longer exists. Surrounded and attacked by monsters, Masato fights back fiercely despite the odds. His expression turns determined, golden energy glowing in his clenched fist as he prepares to strike again. Misato is overwhelmed by the monster horde, realizing with regret that he couldn't change the future. Bleeding and exhausted, he stares ahead with a cold, resolute expression. Surrounded, he accepts that there's no other choice left for him now. As the swarm closes in, he bitterly wonders if this is how he must accept his death. Despite being overwhelmed, Misato refuses to give up. He won't die like this. With a powerful strike, he declares that he'll reincarnate and become stronger. Burning with rage and despair, he vows to reach the peak of his power and take revenge. He clenches his fist, swearing to hold on to this fury until the day he returns. As golden energy erupts around him, Misato declares he will return one day to avenge his regrets and take revenge. He lets out a powerful roar as the energy intensifies and surges through his body. The scene shifts into a blinding golden light, signaling a major transformation or rebirth. Somewhere else, a blonde-haired man looks on in shock, sensing something has drastically changed. Boy slowly sits up on a hospital bed, showing signs of awakening. He looks at his reflection in the mirror, confirming he's in a new body. With a confident smile, he realizes that the reincarnation worked. Confused by the modern equipment, he wonders if he's in a hospital and how many years have passed since his death. Misato worries that if 100 years have passed, his revenge will be impossible. He finds the student ID of the body he's reincarnated into and begins piecing things together. The ID reveals the name Asai Kyosuke and notes that only 20 years have passed since his death. Misato's eyes widen in shock. He still has time to take revenge. Misato reads the ID card and is shocked to discover the body he's in has the rare void attribute. A sly smile forms on his face as he starts to grasp the potential of his new power. Overjoyed, he bursts into laughter, holding the card tightly, excited for the future. He remembers how in his past life, he was feared for his powerful time attribute, but despite that strength, things didn't go as planned. In his past life, Misato hit a wall, realizing he could no longer grow stronger. Even with his clairvoyance, he couldn't perceive the true limits of the void attribute's power. Looking at his new body, he feels sympathy for the boy who once owned it. He acknowledges that void is the strongest attribute and no one in his previous world had ever possessed it. Since the void attribute is extremely rare, no one knows how to properly train it, explaining why this body is still at level 1. Misato guesses the boy may have been mocked for seeming powerless, maybe even more than once. Holding the ID tightly, he promises the boy that he will make his name famous across the world as the strongest adventurer. Thanks to his clairvoyance, Misato knows exactly how to train the void attribute to its full potential. Standing within a storm of void energy, Misato declares he will use this power to become the strongest. With intense determination, he vows to make the traitors pay for their betrayal. He swears that they will regret causing his death and turning against him. Misato recalls the faces of those who betrayed him, fueling his thirst for revenge. He knows that to get his revenge, he must grow far stronger than he is now. Determined, he resolves to level up first before taking any action. With a calm breath, he lies back down, mentally preparing for the path ahead. The void attribute grants magic tied to controlling nihility, the essence of nothingness. Its true power lies in projecting one's imagination into reality. While everyone can imagine things, the challenge is manifesting them into the real world. Misato notes that this body is badly injured, making it the perfect chance to test his power. He focuses, attempting to apply the mental image of a healed body to his actual body using void magic. Misato concentrates deeply, visualizing every single cell in his body regenerating with precision. Golden healing energy begins to mend his bruised and damaged arm. The wound disappears completely as the magic successfully restores his body. Clenching his fist in relief, Misato smiles and says, "Nice, it worked." Misato notes that his basic healing is slow, and he still hasn't fully recovered inside. He understands that using the skill repeatedly will raise its level and improve his overall control. As he improves his ability to turn imagination into reality, the range of what he can manifest will expand. Eventually, he'll be able to create and wield multiple types of magic by converting his imagined concepts into real power. Misato reflects that with enough mastery, one's imagination can eventually be manifested into reality exactly as visualized. Smiling to himself, he feels confident about what's to come. A shocked doctor bursts into the room, surprised to see him awake. The doctor urges him not to move yet, reminding him that he was badly injured in a monster attack. Misato quietly realizes what must have happened to the boy whose body he now inhabits. The doctor explains that despite the critical state, he miraculously woke up like a divine act. Misato curiously asks what the doctor meant by saintess. The doctor is shocked that he doesn't know, hinting that something significant has happened involving a powerful figure. The doctor is shocked realizing the saintess being referenced is from the legendary pentagram saints. Misato admits he doesn't know who those saints are either, adding to his confusion. The doctor assumes his confusion is natural and insists on giving him a full medical checkup. As Misato sits up, he wonders if the pentagram saints are some clan or group that rose during the 20 years he missed. Misato acknowledges that leveling up is necessary, but he also needs to understand how the world has changed in the last 20 years, so he grabs the remote to check the news. A TV special begins about a massive SSS-class dungeon disaster that occurred 2 decades ago. Misato is stunned this incident is the very one where he was betrayed. As the announcer names the culprit, he braces himself for the reveal. The TV reveals that the culprit behind the SSS-class dungeon incident was Misato Kawakairo, the leader of the Golden Seekers and a level 100 time attribute user. Shocked, the protagonist leaps up in disbelief and yells, "Wah!" He's stunned and confused. "I was the culprit. What the hell does that mean?" The broadcast explains that Misato had foreseen the disaster but didn't warn anyone. Instead, he planned to exploit the chaos to take over the world. The broadcast says that the other members of the Golden Seekers, with help from the Pentagram Saints, stopped the chaos. They defeated Misato Kawakairo and sealed the dungeon successfully. The narrator adds that the Pentagram Saints are still active today, leading the world in many areas. Misato watches silently as this is aired on TV, his face hidden in shadow. With a dry, bitter chuckle, he mutters, "Ha!" He suddenly bursts into manic laughter, "Ha ha ha ha!" overwhelmed by the irony and rage of being framed. The protagonist reflects bitterly not only did his former allies betray him, but they also dragged his dignity through the mud. He remembers how they sacrificed him without remorse and shamelessly claimed the rewards for themselves. Those traitors are now celebrated by the world as heroes, enjoying fame and admiration. Clenching the TV remote in rage, he declares, "I won't forgive them." The final narration confirms his vow, "There's no way I can forgive them." Misato clenches his teeth in rage, his expression twisted with vengeance. Eyes glowing red, Misato vows to send all of his enemies to hell. The camera pans to the ceiling, giving a moment of silent intensity after his outburst. Misato exhales deeply, trying to calm himself after his furious declaration. Misato looks down at the room cautiously, aware he must act carefully. He reminds himself not to get detected by those who might be watching. Misato grabs the remote with determination, planning his next move. He picks up a smartphone, ready to search for crucial information. Reading the phone, Misato finds out the academy the original body belonged to. Misato finds out that one of the Pentagram Saints, Iwako Hideki, is the headmaster of the academy. He's surprised by how quickly he discovered a lead right after waking up. Misato calmly plans his next steps, knowing that Iwako is not someone who'll expose his flaws easily. He looks at the ID card thoughtfully, already plotting how to proceed without alerting Iwako. Misato looks at the student ID and realizes that his current power level is far too low to challenge his enemy. He flops onto the bed, frustrated that beating Iwako is impossible at his current state. Misato clenches his hand with determination, deciding to level up before making any moves. With fire in his eyes, Misato vows that Iwako will be his first target once he's strong enough. A few weeks pass as Misato focuses on recovering and training his body. He confidently checks his reflection, confirming that his mobility has fully returned. While the doctor assumes it's a miracle from the Saintess, Misato denies it calmly. With a serious gaze, Misato states that everything was achieved through his own strength, not divine blessing. Misato politely thanks the doctor before leaving the facility. As he steps into the city, he acknowledges that his basic preparations are now complete. Looking at his upgraded ID, Misato confirms his level is now high enough to take action. With a confident smile, Misato gears up for battle, ready to enter a dungeon. Misato learns from the doctor that Kyosuke's entire family died in an accident. He reflects on this while walking outside, acknowledging how tragic it was for Kyosuke. Misato admits he feels sympathy for the original Kyosuke who used to live in this body. But he also sees it as an opportunity. No attachments mean he can now live freely and do whatever he wants. Misato steps forward confidently, ready for his next move. He looks at a mysterious portal and checks the location on his phone, wondering if this is the place he's been searching for. Misato adjusts his hoodie and mask, determined to level up and test his strength here. He approaches a checkpoint and presents his ID card, drawing attention from a surprised guard as he prepares to enter the facility. A guard urgently calls out, trying to stop Misato as he shows his ID. Misato calmly asks what's wrong, keeping his hood and mask on as the guard looks concerned. The guard notices Misato is only level 27, shocked since the ID shows he hasn't met the minimum level. The guard warns him that this dungeon requires at least level 30 and a party to enter going solo is suicide. But Misato, unfazed, replies that may apply to others, not to him. Misato grabs the guard's hand, stopping him. A shift in tone, he's asserting control. He shows his student ID and says he's from Takaige Adventurer Training Academy. He knows that signing a consent form allows students to enter regardless of level. Misato tells the guard that he researched all this while he was still in the hospital. The guard is flustered but acknowledges that Misato is technically correct. With a sharp, commanding look, Misato says, "Hey, now," intimidating the guard into silence. Misato firmly tells the officer, "Enough already," showing that he's done explaining himself. A trio of cocky adventurers mock Misato. One says the officer is just concerned, while another calls him a greenhorn and tells him to know his place. Misato silently glares at them. His sharp eyes show he's unfazed and likely planning something. He confidently turns back to the officer and confirms, "I just need to sign here, yes?" ready to proceed into the dungeon despite their doubts. Misato begins signing the digital consent form to enter the dungeon. The officer tries to stop him, shouting, "Hold on." Misato confidently finishes signing and tells the officer, "There shouldn't be any other issues now, right?" He calmly walks toward the glowing portal. While thanking the officer for his concern, he shows he's completely in control. The officer turns to a group nearby and urgently asks them to follow Misato, realizing something suspicious or dangerous might happen. One of the guys seems genuinely worried and says, "Letting him go like this is suicide." He realizes the danger Misato might be in. The others, however, don't care. One of them questions why they should bother, suggesting it's not their problem. The purple-haired guy smirks and says, "Isn't this a good thing, actually?" They glance around and notice no one's watching. The brown-haired boy gets an idea and says, "If nobody's watching, then..." The purple-haired guy gives a sinister smile, revealing his dark intentions. He justifies it, saying even if something happens, it won't be a problem, clearly planning something bad for Misato. The purple-haired guy insults Misato, calling him a brat acting tough, and says he needs 100 more years. They're all charging forward into the dungeon after him. A police officer, unaware of their intent, casually waves and says, "Sorry for the bother, I'm counting on you." He thinks they're just going to look out for Misato. Inside the dungeon, we see the group entering. The mood is tense and dark, contrasting the officers' cheerful attitude. The purple-haired guy reveals their true plan with a wicked smile. Let's do what we usually do. Kill the kid and blame it on the monsters. This confirms their intention to murder Misato and cover it up. A person lies dead on the dungeon floor, blood pooling around them. The narration reads, "It's all thanks to these idiots." This shows a past victim, confirming the group has done this many times before. The evil group laughing and surrounded by loot say that our pockets get fuller. They profit by killing low-level adventurers and stealing their valuables. 10 minutes later, we see the group deep in the dungeon, running quickly down a corridor. This builds suspense and hints that their trap for Misato is underway. Close-up of their feet as they run, with sharp sound effects dash, emphasizing speed and tension. The purple-haired guy pants heavily, frustrated they still haven't caught up to Misato. He says, "It's been a straight road up until here, right?" And another replies, "We still didn't catch up to that kid." They're exhausted and surprised by Misato's speed. They suddenly spot something ahead. One of them shouts, "Look," with wide eyes, implying a major discovery or surprise. "We finally caught up," one yells, but what they see is shocking. Several defeated monsters lie piled up ahead. Misato has already cleared them out single-handedly. The red effect lines emphasize their horror. A dramatic reveal: Misato stands calmly with a cold glare, glowing aura surrounding him. He's ready. This is the moment the hunters become the hunted. Misato stands firm, surrounded by a glowing blue aura. He unleashes a powerful spell. Flames burst outward in a sweeping arc as orange-red energy swirls around him. He raises his hand, channeling pure green energy. The power surges around his fingers in a spiral motion. His eyes glow fiercely. This is focused magic, not raw rage. A shockwave of green spirals explodes outward, enveloping the space in intense force. Misato becomes the eye of the storm. Massive flames erupt with explosive energy, devouring everything in their path. The green and red spirals merge into blazing destruction. This is Misato's counterattack, and it's devastating. Misato's fire magic explodes, lighting up the dungeon in a blaze. He stands calmly in the flames, while the enemies hesitate to approach. The purple-haired guy is shocked that Misato defeated a D-rank monster alone. The red-haired guy nervously smiles and tries to downplay the situation. The group spots a bag filled with glowing crystals. Rare item drop. They greedily imagine the profit if they sell the loot. Misato crouches unaware, while they prepare to ambush him. They decide to kill Misato to claim everything. Someone dashes forward, starting the attack. The attackers leap down from the ledge toward Misato. They smirk confidently, thinking victory is theirs. The purple-haired guy yells, "Now," to begin the attack. They all rush at Misato together, unleashing their elemental powers. Misato sighs in frustration, clearly fed up. He mocks them, glowing with power, saying they thought they were clever. With a fierce combo of ice and energy, he launches a brutal counterattack. Walking forward calmly, Misato reflects that greedy people exist in every era. The two boys are shocked Misato dodged their attack. One of them panics, thinking Misato just got lucky. Misato charges forward with intense speed and focus. He lands a powerful punch straight to his enemy's gut. The purple-haired guy coughs blood in pain after being hit. Misato sends him flying with a powerful punch. Smoke fills the hallway as Misato calmly walks forward. The guy spits out blood and insults Misato, calling him a vermin. The two guys fall to the ground, trembling in fear. Misato declares he'll crush them without hesitation. He stomps the ground, preparing to attack. His aura flares up as he vows to begin his revenge now. A bright day outside the dungeon gate. A man in black steps into the dungeon. Yoichi Tsudai, a subordinate of Iwako, arrives to investigate a student's solo entry. He finds novice hunters lying dead and is confused by the situation. Yoichi finds multiple bodies and is shocked by the scene. Night falls as the protagonist returns home safely. He reflects on how he leveled up and tested void magic in the dungeon. He now possesses a new skill, Info Obscurity, which hides his details from others. He realizes that the new spell not only hides his level, but can also erase dungeon entry logs. Lying back on his bed, he prepares mentally for his first day at the academy tomorrow. He checks his messages and sees some nasty ones calling him useless and demanding money. With a smirk, he understands the situation clearly and plans to respond in his own way. Students arrive at the academy on a clear, sunny morning. Kyosuke hears someone call his name and turns around. His classmate, Asahi Karen, waves and greets him cheerfully. Kyosuke smiles and assures her that he's doing fine now. Karen expresses relief that Kyosuke is okay, showing genuine concern. Kyosuke reflects silently that even the old Kyosuke had people who cared for him. 3 students approach, mocking Kyosuke for being a level 1 no attribute. The leader demands something from Kyosuke, implying he's owed for helping him escape death. Kyosuke reads his messages and realizes these bullies are the ones who harassed him. Karen steps forward and tells them to stop, mentioning Kyosuke just got out of the hospital. Kyosuke clenches his chest, clearly holding back emotions. He lifts his head with sharp, determined eyes. Kyosuke thanks Karen but says he can handle things himself. The bullies mock him for being a weak, no-attribute guy showing off in front of a girl. The blue-haired bully reminds Kyosuke he's worthless and can't even use magic. Kyosuke calmly replies that they are the ones who need to be put in their place. Kyosuke promises to make the fallen boy's name famous worldwide. He proudly declares that he keeps his word. The bully looks shocked and confused. The bully yells at Kyosuke and prepares to attack with a fiery spell. The girl warns that using magic outside dungeons is against school rules. The blonde student shouts angrily, claiming Kyosuke has no right to defy him. He launches a fireball at Kyosuke, yelling, "Take this." Kyosuke stares calmly, unshaken by the incoming attack. Kyosuke calmly catches the fireball with his bare hand, surprising everyone. With controlled power, he redirects the fireball back. The blazing energy flies through the air with intense force. A massive explosion erupts across the courtyard. The 2 bullies panic, shocked that Kyosuke used the same magic as them. The blue-haired bully stares at Kyosuke, stunned and confused. Kyosuke looks unimpressed and questions if that was all they had. The bully clenches his teeth in frustration, realizing he's completely outmatched. The leader panics and shouts at his teammates to stop standing around and help. One of the bullies launches an attack, trying to counter Kyosuke. Kyosuke calmly casts dual elemental magic with sharp precision. His combined water and wind spell overwhelms the battlefield with sheer force. The bullies are shocked by Kyosuke's magic skills, questioning how many elements he can control. Kyosuke calmly asks if they're done being impressed. He declares it's now his turn to strike back. Kyosuke ignites a powerful fire spell, warning them he won't kill, just teach a lesson. The bullies panic and scream in fear as Kyosuke confronts them with explosive force. Kyosuke coldly questions one of the bullies for not helping his friend. He lifts the scared bully by the hair, his red eyes glowing with rage. The bully trembles in fear as Kyosuke grabs his face with a deadly glare. Kyosuke grabs the bully by the collar, calling him vermin and radiating intense energy. The bully watches in fear as Kyosuke declares that nothing he says will change anything. Kyosuke powers up his flaming fist, vowing not to stop. With a fierce expression, Kyosuke slams his burning fist down on the bully. Kyosuke's fiery punch smashes into the bully's face with brutal force. The impact sends the bully flying through the air, spinning out. He lands flat on the ground, smoking and completely knocked out. Karen watches in shock, stunned by Kyosuke's overwhelming power. 2 boys lift their injured friend and promise he won't be looked down on again. With determination in his glowing eyes, Kyosuke declares they'll become the strongest adventurers together. The bullies panic and shout their apologies. They quickly carry their injured friend away, scared and defeated. One of them mutters in shock about how much Kyosuke changed. Kyosuke casually remarks that the guy wasn't that impressive after all, with Karen beside him. Students walk through the hallway, murmuring after the earlier events. Kyosuke draws glances as he passes by, catching attention. He wonders if he made himself too noticeable. Just then, someone stops Kyosuke from behind, saying, "Just a moment." A student approaches and confirms if he's speaking to Asai Kyosuke. The well-dressed upperclassman politely asks Kyosuke if he has a moment. Kyosuke internally notes the guy looks like an upperclassman and finds it annoying. He politely declines, saying class is about to begin, while considering brushing him off. The upperclassman says he forgot to introduce himself. He reveals his name is Yoichi Tsudai, leader of Biting the Cat. Karen repeats the name in confusion, wondering what "biting the cat" means. Kyosuke is shocked, realizing it's the clan founded by Principal Iwako. As Kyosuke and Karen approach class, Yoichi calls out to him again. Yoichi politely asks Kyosuke once more to spare him some time. Kyosuke silently considers the request, slightly annoyed. He gives in with a smirk, saying it can't be helped. Yoichi gets straight to the point and asks if Kyosuke defeated the adventurers in the dungeon. Kyosuke pretends not to understand, asking what Yoichi means. Internally, Kyosuke is shocked, wondering how Yoichi learned something that should have been hidden. Yoichi explains he heard about a student entering the dungeon and decided to investigate. Yoichi reveals he found infamous criminals lying dead in the dungeon. He accuses Kyosuke of using multi-attribute magic like earlier that morning. Kyosuke smirks, realizing Yoichi doesn't actually know the details of his magic. Yoichi angrily demands Kyosuke to confess if he was the one who defeated them. Kyosuke claims he was suddenly attacked that morning and doesn't remember much. He shows his student ID, saying he's just a level 1, so he couldn't have done it. Yoichi looks surprised as Kyosuke hands him the ID. Yoichi checks and confirms it says level 1 with the shocking void attribute. Kyosuke smiles calmly while Yoichi fumes internally, insulted that a nobody wasted his time. Yoichi grits his teeth in frustration, holding back his anger. He apologizes for bothering Kyosuke, though visibly irritated. Yoichi warns him not to act suspicious again, complaining about having to do extra work. Kyosuke watches Tsudai walk away down the hallway. He reflects that Tsudai might be useful in the future. With a smirk, Kyosuke decides he can take advantage of him. He wonders if he can make Tsudai his pawn, realizing the potential. Kyosuke smirks, thinking it's the perfect moment to test his magic. Tsudai reports the dungeon incident to the academy staff. A man criticizes him, saying it's unlike him to mess up. The headmaster, Iwako Hideki, warns him to be more cautious about who he chooses to trust. Tsudai bows deeply, apologizing and promising to resolve the issue immediately. The headmaster replies coldly, expecting him to handle it. He warns that if Tsudai's involvement in harming novices is exposed, both of them will face backlash. Grabbing Tsudai by the chin, he glares menacingly, emphasizing the consequences. Iwako threatens Tsudai, warning he can be discarded if anything goes wrong. Tsudai bows in fear and frustration, acknowledging the threat. He grits his teeth, angry about being forced into the situation. He regrets not extorting more hush money from the criminals before they were exposed. Tsudai clenches his teeth in frustration. Iwako says there's still something unclear despite the report. Tsudai nervously asks what he means. Iwako points out the student involved must be at least a third year, based on the report. The system shows no record of a third-year student entering the dungeon that night. Iwako slams the tablet down, preparing to make his point. He suggests the criminals were killed by a monster while targeting novices. Iwako concludes it's more believable than thinking one of his students took them down alone and accuses Tsudai of lying. Tsudai tries to play along, pretending to accept Iwako's conclusion. Iwako confirms his suspicion with a firm "indeed." He hints that only something extremely unusual could explain the outcome. Tsudai is shaken as he stares at Kyosuke's ID, questioning what "unusual" really means. Sudai suggests to Principal Iwako that a unique attribute might be involved. Iwako considers it and agrees that it's a plausible explanation. Sudai smirks slightly, seeing an opportunity in the situation. He confidently asks Iwako to entrust the matter to him. Kyosuke walks with confidence, smiling calmly. Sudai, with a sinister grin and glowing eyes, vows to swiftly resolve the issue. A torch flickers on the wall, casting light in the dark corridor. Multiple adventurers unleash powerful magic attacks at something ahead. A wild, beast-like creature crashes down, while a panicked student yells, "It came this way." The creature roars ferociously as the students run in fear. A glowing magic spell activates in someone's hand. The raging beast charges forward, roaring with glowing red eyes. Students freeze in fear as the beast closes in rapidly. Yoichi Sudai steps up calmly, casting a spell and instructing. "Students, do not break formation." The students are amazed by Yoichi's strength, impressed he was chosen by Principal Iwako. Yoichi stands calmly over defeated monsters, confirming the area is cleared. His peers salute him, praising his performance with, "Good work, Yoichi." Yoichi walks away, saying, "I'll leave the rest to you guys," and the team responds with a unified, "Understood." Yoichi touches his chest, declaring it's time to fulfill his mission. He holds a mysterious pendant with a chained eye symbol. He activates the item, commanding, "Reveal Asai Kyosuke's location to me." Glowing blue chains shoot out rapidly, responding to the command. Yoichi tracks the glowing chain and confirms, he's far from the other students. He smirks, thinking, "I don't know what he's thinking, but it's better for me." Seeing Kyosuke isolated and injured, Yoichi plans, no one would suspect his death isn't an accident. With a sinister grin, he thinks, "I just happened to find Asai. These things are common in dungeons, after all." Yoichi narrows his eyes, recalling the novice hunter incident. He watches from the window, thinking trouble has followed ever since Kyosuke left the hospital. Observing a group from above, Yoichi grows suspicious and curious about their conversation. He confronts them in a meeting, questioning sharply, "Is that true?" The pink-haired boy pleads, "It's true. That no attribute attacked us using our own magic." Another student backs him up, shouting in shock, "That bastard." A flashback reveals Kyosuke summoning an enormous flame like never seen before. Yoichi, hearing the claims, remains skeptical and thinks, "There's no way I can believe this." Yoichi turns to leave, saying calmly, "I've asked whatever I came to ask." The pink-haired boy nervously tries to speak, but is cut off. Yoichi coldly commands his men, "Re-educate them. I've got no use for weaklings who lose to incompetence." The pink-haired boy panics as he's grabbed, shouting, "That's not what you promised." Yoichi looks at the blue-haired boy and mutters, "That guy." He notices the boy has already broken, both mentally and emotionally. The boy stands limp and lifeless, barely supported by the person restraining him. With a dead, haunted expression, the boy thinks to himself he has already stopped being human. Yoichi observes Kyosuke's behavior and notes that fear wasn't normal. To be certain, he sent Kyosuke to the special class hosted by Biting the Cat. However, all Kyosuke showed were illusions, leading Yoichi to suspect deception. Convinced Kyosuke used underhanded methods, Yoichi smirks, assuming he relied on a magic item. Yoichi finds another monster corpse and questions, "Was it done by Asai Kyosuke?" Seeing the burn marks, he notes it only took a single fire attack. He admits the others' claims weren't entirely false. But despite the destruction, Yoichi smirks and thinks, this power is no big deal. A flashback reveals Iwako, once labeled a pentagram dropout, now feared despite his past. A servant trembles, thinking he must obey Iwako for now but dreams of surpassing him someday. Yoichi envisions himself taking Iwako's place, ruling the world as a pentagram. He laughs darkly, fully consumed by his ambition. Yoichi follows the glowing chain, determined to reach Kyosuke. He thinks to himself, "I mustn't let anyone find out about my connection to the novice hunters." Convinced Kyosuke will cause future trouble, He plans to stage an unfortunate accident. Peeking around the corner, Yoichi prepares himself, wondering, what could he be doing in a place like TH? Yoichi's eyes widen in shock as he senses something unexpected. He spots Kyosuke calmly standing atop a pile of defeated monsters, shrouded in dark energy. Kyosuke glares at him and says coldly, "You're awfully late. I'm tired of waiting." Yoichi reels back in panic, thinking, "Wah, my presence should have been completely concealed." Yoichi is stunned. How did Kyosuke notice his presence? Kyosuke smirks knowingly, seeming to read his thoughts, and says, "So why was he able to notice my presence?" Yoichi panics internally. Did he read my thoughts? As he approaches, Yoichi demands, "Just what the hell are you?" Calmly seated, Kyosuke mocks him. "I heard Iwako chose you, but you're not as big of a deal as I thought you'd be." Kyosuke accuses Yoichi of tormenting and extorting novice hunters for money. Yoichi is shocked and demands, "How do you know that?" Kyosuke steps closer and continues, "You've never understood how it feels to be the one getting hunted." He adds, "Your actions are just like the cowardly Iwako," exposing Yoichi's true nature. Kyosuke clenches his fist, surrounded by dark energy, and declares, "I'll be teaching you that feeling now." With glowing eyes and sinister intent, he adds, "And with that magic, I'll make you dance for me."
This is the end of the video. If you guys want to see the next part, then don't forget to subscribe and like the video.